Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Lenny Chef, and in today's video, which will be very personal, I will be sharing my own story and in general what it's like to feel like an immigrant in your own homeland after you had to move back. And also we'll share 3 tips on how to effectively communicate and deal with your friend or relative who has been an immigrant, no matter where they're from and what country they decided to move and then had to move back. Let's begin. This is going to be a heavy one. First of all, a short, brief story about me. I'm from Russia. I'm currently 35 years old. I'm single, childless. Well, thank God I don't have kids for now because life has been tough. And way back in 2012, I decided to go to United States as a student on a student work visa and to America, and that was like my biggest dream, to see United States, whatever. I was brainwashed by this propaganda, Hollywood movies, music, whatever. And I liked it so much, and also I was escaping my toxic family, broke household situation, and was just looking for a better life. So I decided to stay there, and it ended up being almost 12 years full-blown experience. Unfortunately and sadly, it didn't end well due to personal and also global economical post-COVID recession reasons. And I had to move back almost 2 years ago in 2024. It was a heartbreaking experience. I'm still recovering and I am still not at my best. I'm definitely at a better place mentally right now compared to last year, but it has been rough, I have to say. And people do not move to another country just because everything was perfect and their life was great in their own homeland. It's quite the opposite, especially in cases of war, famine, genocide, when families literally have to flee their country just to save their own lives. Thank God my experience was way better than this, far from this disastrous one, but still to me it was very difficult. And well, I was in my 20s back then, so things were taken much easier because I was very enthusiastic. But as I got older and I realized that I feel like I'm stuck and I'm not moving anywhere and the situation isn't getting any better, I had to make this very painful decision, and I ended up being very lonely, depressed, almost. This topic has not been discussed widely, I guess, and it should be. I just sold whatever the belongings I could sell, donated a lot of stuff, packed my bags, and left. So I lived in 2 places. I lived in New York and Brooklyn, and then I lived in suburbs of Miami. For the last few years I lived in tropics, and my God, I am miserable right now because I'm back home in Russia. Good thing is I don't pay the rent. Yes, I'm a citizen. My family is helping me as much as they can, but the bad thing is climate sucks, it's cold, and the economy is trash right now. But we're getting there, and I hope that one day I will be recording the video from some really nice place near the turquoise ocean and the beach, and I will be happy and very tan, because right now this girl is pale, okay? This is my pale. First of all, let me list you 5 reasons of why I don't fit in anymore, why it feels foreign to be in your own land. And disclaimer, immigration and being an immigrant is a huge psychological trauma. You can look it up on the internet. It is a proven scientific fact. It really affects you because you are making a really hard decision to move somewhere or to stay somewhere in a country with different language, different laws, different everything, no relatives, no friends, no family, and you have to start from scratch, completely relying on yourself. Thank God there was a Russian community in Brooklyn and also in Miami, but even within the Russian-speaking community, or within your own whatever language community you speak and culture, some people may betray you and take advantage of you because you are naive, you don't know a lot of things around, but some people thankfully are nice enough, they will help you, and you may end up having a family-like connections, but still not that deep, like with people who are not blood related to you. So number 1 reason is the reverse cultural shock. When you live somewhere abroad for more than a year or 2, and when you go back to your home country, either you move back or even just visit, you experience reverse cultural shock because your brain adapts to the environment which was new in order for you to survive. That's a very biological mechanism, otherwise people would just freaking die in an unknown place. And of course, you get used to certain things, certain foods, certain faces, certain places, and then you move back home and you basically fell out of that place. Especially in my case, it's been over a decade, and my maturing basically fit the American period of my life. And I was flabbergasted by lots of things. Some things are better than in the United States. Let's say we have a state insurance. It kind of sucks, but still better than shaking with all of your essence and being terrified of the medical bill that you'll receive just because you got cold and you had to call an emergency. Here, you can actually call a doctor for free. Yes, you have to wait for like an hour, maybe two when there is a traffic, but they will come to you, they will give you the pill, maybe give you an IV, whatever, and it's covered by your state insurance. It's not like the US. I'm talking about Russia, obviously. And also, the currency is different, the salaries are different, usually lower. People dress a bit differently. Well, right now, fashion, especially among young people, is kind of universal and unisex, but you get the point. You know, there are differences here and there, especially like the daily life little ones, which may bug you, and it happened to me. And that's number one thing, reverse cultural shock. Reason number two, your family cannot and doesn't accept the current version of you because they still perceive you as the version that left the country. And it is very personal, especially in my case, because I left quite a while ago. And even though you've been chatting to them through Skype, then WhatsApp, whatever, there is still a huge disconnect between who you became and who you used to be, because you've been through a lot of stuff, a lot of difficulties, and they can't relate to it because they've been in their own bubble, struggling on their own, dealing with their own problems, and it's really heartbreaking that your closest people feel the farthest from you. And the ones who are not blood related to you, like your acquaintances from the country that you immigrated to, understand you on a deeper and better level compared to your family. Well, you learn to deal with it. It's really, really challenging for me, and I hope I'll be able to cope with it, but just accept the fact that your family may not accept the current version of you. Well, c'est la vie. Number three, feeling lonely in your own homeland because of reason number two, and also because people who used to be your friends, they moved on, they have their own lives, and because you decided to leave the country and make such a drastic change in your life, starts from scratch somewhere else, they can't relate to you anymore. You cannot relate to them anymore. And coming from my own experience, a lot of people of my age are married and have kids. And in Russia, we tend to marry younger. In general, things have been shifting, especially in big cities, but unfortunately, it's still not as common in Russia to marry in your 30s as, let's say, it's in South Korea or maybe United States. But I mean, in the United States, if you're coming from a small town, they also marry super young. But in general, when you stay in a big city in a foreign country, which many immigrants do, it's easier to get around. You have your own community. People of your age, especially when you come from a small town, yeah, they usually follow a very typical scenario. You know, you graduate from school, you enter the college/university, then you get a job, you marry, you have kids. By the age of 30, you have at least one child, usually two in Russia, and that's that. So there is also a disconnect to those people who used to be your friends, and all the connections just fizzle out. It happened to me and my former close friend, and that's the reality. It's also very sad, it's also pretty challenging, but yeah, you lose connections because that's life. Reason number four, you lose the sense of belonging, and once an immigrant, forever an immigrant. And I really love how the singer Naika said that, and she's a multicultural woman. She was born and then raised in different places, and she really nailed it by saying that your sense of home starts belonging to people, not so much to places. And it is very, very true. Because your home is where your true loving and supporting family is. Which in my case is challenging because yes, my family tries to support me, but they don't really get me and I'm not really connected with them anymore. So I do hope that maybe one day my family will be something that I will create with my partner. I'm losing hope, but I'm still trying to keep it alive. It's difficult, especially when you're like 30 something. Wish me luck, guys. Once an immigrant, forever an immigrant. But on the other hand, you have this beautiful experience and knowledge. You gain the knowledge of the fact that if I can survive there, I can basically survive and make it anywhere. It definitely becomes more difficult with age, but that very knowledge inside of me still keeps me going. Reason number 5, age really matters. Starting over when you're younger is definitely easier because, first of all, your frontal lobe has yet to develop and you have a lot more enthusiasm, energy, hope, and dreams. You have not been broken yet, you haven't been betrayed yet. Again, it depends, but for the most part, younger people tend to deal with difficulties much easier just because they're younger. And as you get older, even in your 30s, it does get more difficult because you, A, start seeing things for what they are, B, you get burnt, not only because you get betrayed, but also because of the consequences of your stupid decisions. And you gain this fear of making that mistake again. That happened to me. Unfortunately, happens to a lot of people. But I know that even at an older age, you can still start over, but it definitely gets difficult. So before I move on to tips on how to effectively communicate and rebuild the trust with your relative/friend immigrant, huge tip for immigrants. If you, just like me, had to move back to your own country, keep your old foreign connections alive. It will help you to psychologically cope better with the reality, kind of give you sense of normality, you know what I'm saying? It give you sense of that reality that you're used to. Like I have a couple of friends that I talk to even via WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever social media, even though I can't really call them because Russia has been heavily sanctioned, meta platforms are banned, even Telegram doesn't work, WhatsApp doesn't properly work without VPN. You can make WhatsApp video and audio calls, but you can still exchange messages. It really does help because those people who are the same immigrants like you are and who met you when you were there, they understand the struggles you've been through. Unlike your family and those old friends who you lost connections with or you reunited with, hopefully it will happen to you, but they still do not really understand what you've been through. Let me give you 3 tips on how to effectively communicate with your immigrant relative or friend and make them be more close to you and help understand what they're getting through. Number 1, accept their current, not the past version. Forget the past version they were when you knew them, when they just left the country, and when they're all maybe happy, bubbly, and much younger. No, they're not that person anymore. Yes, at the core, they're still the same, but it's like a tree growing leaves and branches. They're different. They grew older, they grew mature, they got burnt, they got depressed, they like some parts of them are broken. And in order for you to help them fix themselves, you can't heal them. You're not Jesus Christ. Accept their current version. Do not try to bend them to your own liking and make them fit the mold. And yes, they will be complaining about like how they hate everything, how this and this is not right. Yes, it pisses many people off. Like you do not bring your own laws to a different country, but just accept their current version. They will adapt. Give them time. Nobody just hops back in, from completely different reality to the reality that you're used to seeing in a second or even in a year. It can take up to, 5 years maybe, 10 years for them to readapt if they ever do, because once an immigrant, you're a forever immigrant. So accept their current, not past version. That's a big one. Number 2, this is huge. Do not judge their life experience. You do not know what they exactly have been through because many people would not share everything with you, be you their parent or their close friend. Like I used to have a best friend, and plus there is another lesson that I learned. I used to put her on a pedestal, and then when things got different, when we both changed and she started giving me unsolicited advices on how to do this and that, and they wouldn't fit my current reality when I was in the US, but they would fit her reality when she was in Russia. It was just over. I just figured that, okay, this is not working. We are just different and time to move on. That's it. The friendship fizzled out. So in order for you not to make this happen, if you actually care about this person, stop judging them and understand that they are different. Their experiences in life was different and they're still healing, they're readapting. So stop judging them. And number 3, do not give them unsolicited advice from like number 2. This is the biggest mistake everyone can make, regardless of whether you're an immigrant or whatever, it doesn't matter. Do not give them unsolicited advice without knowing who they are right now, okay? Help them with money if you can, with useful connections if you can, but first of all, talk to them. Ask them questions, ask what they want. They may feel lost, and they will feel lost, and do not judge them again. Like number 2 and number 3 are so important. Please accept their current version, do not judge them, and help them with the actual tangible advices, and do not give unsolicited advices. Like help them with actual things, okay? If you can. If you can't, even just a hug, just listening to their traumas, to their like whinings, accepting their tears and pain will be enough, like really. Especially if they came back broke and broken, they can heal themselves if you can help them, and if you stop judging them, not accepting them, and giving unsolicited advices. Okay, it was a very chaotic video. I hope it was helpful, and I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye. Peace.
My camera just died. Decided not to communicate with my USB flash card. But anyways, moving on. This is part 2. My camera just died. But we're moving on. So let me give you 3 tips on how to communicate with your relative or friend immigrant effectively, so that you will understand at least a bit how... Fuck! Anyways, we're coming to the end of the video. My camera just successfully died, aka USB flash card is not reading because she probably took it also very personally. But let me give you 3 tips to people not gonna be more distance from you, but they're not gonna get more distance from you, but help them